last week, you said you want to keep the interceptions down. A week later, do you feel like y'all are living up to that goal this far?
Yeah, we've done a good job. We've done a good job all spring ball of protecting the football, and not only that, not only throwing interceptions, but making sure we're not putting the ball in jeopardy at all. Not feeling like we ever have to force something, and giving ourselves ability to play the next play, even if it's a broken play or tight coverage, and we need to hold it and check it down or throw it away. That's going to continue to be a point of emphasis for us because we've got to. That's the things that we harp on, explosive plays and turnovers, and interceptions, obviously a big piece of that.
Coach, in week 3 now, is any player or even positional group really stood out to you?
Nobody that I can put my thumb on. We've had guys that continue to flash from every spot, from every position. I think as a unit, we've gotten better and better. It's been nice, like I talked about before, just the older guys that have been here, not even older guys, but just guys that have been here on our unit in the program that are able to kind of speed up the process of coaching these other guys, these new guys, freshmen, transfers, and bringing them up to speed. That part of it I feel really good about, and that's the thing I probably noticed the most is just being so much farther ahead this year than we were last year at this time.
What did you see out of Chaston and Cole and even John David Black?
Yeah, they're all very talented. They're cerebral guys. They know what they're doing. That's the thing that's probably most impressive, especially for Chaston and Cole to be here. It's April. They've been on campus for about 3.5 months, and for them to go into a team setting and be able to operate and move the football is really impressive from that standpoint. And then, just try and tell, JD all the time, like, I don't care that you're a walk-on, dude. You're one of the most talented people on this field. Like, you watch him throw the football, it's as pretty as anybody that we have. And so just making sure that he understands, like, and he knows this, but he's somebody that cares and loves the game, and he's too hard on himself at times. And so just giving all of them, they're impressive up to this point, and they've got it pretty good because they've got 2 older guys and even Raheem that those are extensions of me. They coach those guys sometimes harder than I do.
Saw Caden throwing a little bit. How is he kind of progressing towards getting back to being 100%?
Yeah, it was great to see number 4 out there again, slinging around a little bit, and we'll slowly progress him in. It's April, and as important as spring ball is, it's not near as important of having him in September. And so we'll continue to sprinkle him in. He got some team stuff today. He got some skelly, and so he'll continue. He looks really good. I know he's frustrated. He gets pissed every time I tell him that he's not going in. But it's good because it's been good for him because he gets to see the game from afar, and sometimes that's the best thing for people. And obviously he got to do it some last year, and he grew a ton, and I think even more so he's gotten to do it this spring as well, not getting all the reps.
What are you seeing out of Jaron Waiters? Seems to be a guy redshirt last year. Seems to be a guy taking a step maybe.
Yeah, he is what you want from a young receiver from a development standpoint. Came here last year as a true freshman, got knocked around, got thrown into a new offense that nobody else around him knew either. And so he's developed, and I couldn't be more excited about Jaron. And he's taken a step. If you wanted me to pinpoint somebody like from this offseason that I thought, separated themselves as far as how they worked, how they approached, like for him to be what would be a redshirt freshman, he has the ultimate pro mindset. Is just preparing every day, working his tail off, and he's another guy. And we got a bunch of guys like this, but he's another guy that he wants it. Like, he wants to be great, and that's what excites me the most because he's really, really talented, but he has the ability to go do special things. And he, like I said, he wants it. He wants to be great.
The tight end room as well. You lost obviously Savage and Casey, but pretty good talent stepping in. So just
yeah, you walk out there and you look at that group. It's an impressive looking group. Those first 2, the older guys, DeCirio and JC they are ultra talented individuals. They they do things every practice that kind of wow you. And the thing I've been most proud about them is they've been consistent in every part of the game, whether it's run game, catching the football. They understand that, the more they can do, the less they have to come off the field. And they take pride in that. They do a great job on the perimeter blocking. And then, really excited about the two young guys, Caleb and Kamen. I've said this before, but obviously the quarterback position is the toughest deal to play in this offense. Probably next is the tight end position. Just from all the things we ask them to do schematically, it can be a lot for those young guys. And so kind of like those two young quarterbacks, really proud of Caleb and Kamen for just their ability to get in there and be able to operate and function, having been on campus for three or 4 months. So really excited about them and just the future of those guys in the room.
Recruiting-wise, Coach, you obviously came in last year this time with a vision. Now you have something to put on tape. Have you seen an uptick in recruiting interest as you're heading to kind of these summer months?
Yep, absolutely. And that's what that's what you want. You want to, like you said, last year we were trying to sell a dream. It was like, well, this is what we did in North Texas. This is what we did at USC. This is what we did at Ole Miss. And, that helps because they see it. But for them to watch the purple and gold go do it in Dowdy, that just hits different because, they're able to see us do it. And for us to go, throw for over 3,000 yards, have a 1,200-yard rusher, have two receivers over 700 yards, those are things because these kids, they look at numbers and they see where are stats, where can I go get stats. And so that's been exciting just to see people want to be a part of that. We try to play an exciting brand of football, and guys see that. They like the up-tempo. And, what we tell people in our sell really is, the more we snap the ball, that's just another play that somebody gets to touch it. And so that's what we try and sell. And we for sure have seen just people – just recruits on campus. I know Blake talked about it the other day, but that's what you see is you see interest from people all over wanting to come see it.
Well, Coach, another week since we talked to you, just the going live in the stadium since then, kind of building up to this first scrimmage. Do you feel like you guys are on track where you want to be at the time?
Yeah, I think we're showing flashes of good stuff. If you go back to the scrimmage, we had 2-3 and outs to start it, and just we're inconsistent after that. You know what I mean? And then today it was probably kind of the opposite. I thought we started a little slow, but then did really well in the move the ball period, and then we did a goal line period, and I thought the ones played really well. But just got to develop consistency, right, which comes with inexperience and things like that, because it's such a tight conference. I mean, all football is, but it's such a tight league. I mean, you can't give up 7 points early in the game that'll ultimately end up being the difference in 1 point or 3 points at the end, right? Okay, just like you can't finish in the fourth quarter poorly. So we got to develop consistency, and with that is depth, but also is experience. And so those guys got to get out there and practice it.
You certainly bring a lot of intensity to practice, just watching you.
Do I?
Team.
Okay, yeah, all right,
so,
yeah.
Do you feel like your players are matching the intensity that you brought out to this point?
I hope so. I mean, I was always told as a young coach, you are what you emphasize. You know what I mean? And your players will emulate that. I think we're not a team we're not going to practice for 3 hours. We're not going to meet for 3 hours. So if we're going to be with them that short amount of time, we want to make sure that we're capturing their hearts and minds. That's our jobs as coaches, capture the hearts and minds of our players, and so I'm going to grab their attention however I can. So I tell you, this doesn't necessarily answer your question, but man, we got good kids, man. We do. They take coaching well. I really enjoy coaching them, and but yes, I typically do bring juice when I can.
Coach, when you inherit a new team, new roster, you move somewhere else, how long do you think in your process that takes to fully feel comfortable with kind of knowing what the on-field product's going to look like?
Yeah, normally I'd say, I kind of said this the last time, normally I would say it would take a minute, but I'm really the only new coach. I mean, Coach Williams, Tron Williams is new, but he's been here before. So, you have so many coaches that were here already that can give feedback and kind of be a sounding board for you for what some guys can or can't do. Not in a negative way, just what they're comfortable with. And so that's really helped me in the transition. So I feel ahead me personally, than I normally would taking a new position.
Are getting a lot of guys reps with different units.
Mhm.
As a staff, how do you go back and evaluate it, make sure everybody's being evaluated fairly?
Yeah, so we script the reps. You know, it's not just, hey, you go get in there. You know, we script anybody who's going to be in any period. We try to make it based on how they're performing. Right. Okay. So you're almost halfway right now through spring. So normally we're not saying ones, twos, three, fours. We're mixing on defense. We're mixing a lot, and now we're kind of drawing a line in the sand to kind of motivate them a little bit. You know what I mean? Here's the guy who's ahead right now, and things like that. So you start trimming the reps down a little bit, but I think the other thing is you got to make sure you put all the guys in equal situations so you can evaluate, like you just said. If this guy only plays this coverage and this guy only plays that one, how am I supposed to evaluate how they can play the other one, right? So you just got to be detailed in how you script your reps.
The corner room, a lot of new guys.
Yeah.
How is that room staying out good?
We got to pick it up a little bit. Not that they're playing poorly, just consistency. You know what I mean? When you have all brand new guys, right? Literally the entire room's new just about, right? They're either guys who just got here or guys who redshirted last year, didn't play hardly at all, right? So, I think every day you could ask me and I would tell you a different guy stood out in the corner room, right? Just because of the peaks and valleys that are there. I've seen growth in guys who are here already, like Eric Fletcher. He's kind of stood out as a guy who is very different from what he was. Key Crowell, one of the new guys, competes his tail off. I like him a lot for a young guy. To only be a sophomore from a Division II school, he really competes. So, but like I said, every day I could pick out any of those guys. They're having a good camp.
With the scrimmage on last Friday, your first time kind of
Yeah.
live action in Dowdy, what did you think? And did you see like an upbeat and energy from your guys?
Yeah, I did. I sometimes as a coach, it's sad. I come from the SEC. I know Coach Baker can relate. Sometimes you get so zoned in that you lose sight of the pageantry of like the stadiums you play in and things like that. But walking in there for the first time, I felt it. We have an unbelievable place, and then walking out of it, I felt it as well. So I think our guys had plenty of juice, but I was a little focused on the execution part of it.
The nickel in this defense, do you have a term for it?
Call him the star.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Who is, how versatile can that position be?
Yeah, it can be as versatile as we want it to be. That can be more of a cover guy. That can be more of an edge blitzer. There's times where we might put a bigger guy in there if you're going to face more of a 12 personnel team and things like that. There might be times we put more of a cover guy out there if you're going to play more of like a team that's going to be spread all the time and things of that nature. We've been mixing and matching a few guys at that spot. I think we have some guys who aren't repping it right now who could also do it down the road. I really just don't think to do that in the very first spring would be fair to those guys to move them from whether it be the corner room to that spot or the high safety room to that spot. So we're rolling with those guys we have right there. And they've had some quality practices. I thought that room had a really good day last Thursday. They made some plays today as well, but that's got to be a dynamic room. It's a primo position. Like kids in our defense will want to play that position because it gets to make a lot of plays.